Hey, this is Brett Gursky. Welcome to another episode of On the List. This is episode number 76. It's March 2026. We're coming to you from the BLEAV network. This is our Oscar episode. 2025 was such a great year for movies that I had to do an Oscar episode this year. The Oscars are my Super Bowl. I study them all year long. I see every movie as they come out. Some people study football season for fantasy football or college basketball for March Madness. I study movies and the Oscars. And who better to join me on an Oscar episode than my good friend who also happens to be KTLA'S entertainment reporter and the host of Live from the Oscars. He reports from the Oscars as well as all the other award shows, and he'll be there in person on Oscar Sunday. Of course, I'm talking about Doug KOLK. What's up, Doug?
Brett, thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be speaking with you about this. I know we text all the time about movies throughout the year, so to be able to
Yes.
talk about it all in one chunk today.
Yeah, because this year was like phenomenal for movies. It was like a really special year, and I couldn't let the Oscars come without recapping it because it was just such a fun year, and it's so unpredictable this year, and it's never unpredictable like this. Usually, we know by now who's winning every award, and now a few days out, we still have no clue who's
Well,
winning.
tell me if you feel the same way I do, but I felt it was very predictable up until the SAG Awards.
Yeah, well, you know what? It was. We'll get into it, but each category, if you look at Critics' Choice, Golden Globes, BAFTA, SAG, there were different winners at every award show this year, which never happens. Pretty much the only lock was like Best Actress, Jessie Buckley, and
Right.
the irony is last year everything was a lock except Best Actress. That was Demi Moore for The Substance, Mikey Madison for Honora. So this year we completely flipped, and everything but Best Actress is predictable, which is crazy. But that's why I wanted to do this because I was like, I've never seen this before. This might be one of the most exciting Oscars of our lifetimes, which is kind of cool. Are you ready for Oscar Sunday? How do you feel? I know part of your job is watching all of the nominated movies.
Well, yes, and I still have full disclosure. The only film I have not seen is Song Sung Blue yet, but
Okay.
I will be watching that tomorrow, right before our rehearsal, and then I'll be ready for Sunday.
Okay, perfect. So before we dive into the Oscar nominations and the snubs and the predictions in all 24 categories, I always like to explain to people how I know my guests. So we became friends. It was like 2013. I was throwing this Fuck Cancer charity event at Bootsy Bellows, and Stephen Amell was hosting, and he was on Arrow at the time, which was on the WB, and in LA, KTLA is the WB. So I asked you to do a live interview with Stephen Amell from the Fuck Cancer event in front of Bootsy Bellows. We had known each other through like mutual friends, but this was the first time I like reached out about like a work thing. And you said yes, and you came and did it, and it turned out awesome. And we've been friends ever since. That was 13 years ago.
Well, I remember. So I got to LA in 2012, and I
Okay.
remember you were one of the first people to reach out, and you're like, "Hey, bro, I'm a Jersey guy. You're a Jersey guy. We graduated the same year. Like, we
Yeah.
know some of the same people, So then, yeah, so I think we officially met during that event with Stephen Amell, which you being a producer at heart worked out wonderfully. I mean, I was live inside Bootsy Bellows with Stephen.
It was
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, that was a great opportunity for us. But then, you and I struck up a relationship, and then we have our mutual band in common. We both love the Dave Matthews Band.
Exactly.
So we started. Remember that one year we went to San Diego, we went to Irvine,
Yeah,
I
we
think LA the
stayed.
next.
Yeah, we stayed overnight at your brother's in San Diego. Did the San Diego show, did the Irvine show, and then eventually like the Hollywood Bowl shows. Like we traveled
Right.
the California coast following Dave Matthews, which was really fun. But yeah, between Dave Matthews Band and like the Jersey connection, yeah, we got along really well, and we are the exact same age, class of '98 in high school, which is cool. And I was gonna say also, I think you covered like when I worked on Hello Ladies on HBO. I think you came and did a stand up outside our set, right?
Yeah, I think you arranged a set visit. You guys were shooting on Hollywood Boulevard, right?
Yeah, we like did
Yeah.
this whole outdoor thing, and I was like, well, why don't we have KTLA come and cover it? So it's cool. You've always come out and supported, and I see you a lot when I go to premieres. You're on the red carpet working. The last one was Ballerina. I was with Len Weissman, and I see you interviewing like Keanu Reeves and Anna de Armas, and I get my own pictures and videos of all that, which is fun. And yeah, it's
And I frequently name drop Brett Gursky to a lot of celebrities.
oh good. Wouldn't that be awesome to cut together all the KTLA footage of you just name dropping me? One day we gotta go into the
Yeah.
archives.
Well, it's usually like, I'm friends with Brett, and then the response is, well, who isn't?
Oh, nice. That's nice. And then hopefully they give you like a really good interview after that. Oh. So I mentioned that we're both from Jersey. You were born and raised there, right? I'm from East Brunswick. You're from Wayne.
Wayne. Yeah.
So tell people like your background, like where'd you go to high school, college, and how'd you end up at
So
KTLA?
I'll give you the abridged version. It was Wayne Valley to Hofstra University in Long Island.
Yeah.
And I was initially a computer science major, and I graduated, and I just I wanted something more. I didn't want to be sitting behind a desk, so I ended up going to a broadcasting school, and then I got my internships in broadcasting, and then my first job was in Binghamton, New York, then Fort Myers, Florida, then San Diego, California, and then here we are in LA.
Amazing. I don't think people realize that when you're a journalism major and you go out into the world, like you end up in whatever city they'll put you in. You kind of travel the country, going to all different cities till you land where you want to be, you know?
Well, Brett, I always equate it to playing minor league baseball. It's,
Right.
I
Exactly.
started in Binghamton where it's not a major city. I'm playing, where the Binghamton Mets play,
Right.
double A baseball. And then you go to Fort Myers, Florida, and it's again, and it wasn't until I got to the majors until I got to San Diego. It was a big enough city that has pro teams. And now
Right.
here I'm in market number two, which is the Dodgers.
Exactly. And you're
Yeah.
in LA and you're at the Oscars. So you've come a long way. Do you remember thinking about journalism at all when you were a kid or in high school, or it came later?
It came later. I was always interested in it. I wanted to do sports initially, and then what happened was I had attended a guest lecture at school from I don't know. Do you remember Jim Watkins from WPIX 11?
Oh yeah, I'd done that. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
He was speaking at our university, and I attended the guest lecture, and I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, this would be a career I'd love to pursue. I'm just a little too far deep into this computer thing. And then, upon graduating and sleeping in my parents' basement for 2 years with no job, I was like, all right, well, let me try to pursue something like that.
That's really cool, actually, that a guest lecturer can sort of change your whole view of what you want to do with your life. That's very cool.
Yeah, I was fascinated.
That's really cool. So then, now how long have you been in LA and at KTLA?
I've been at KTLA since 2012,
Oh, okay, right.
March
So as
March
long
of
as
2012.
oh, so as
Yeah.
long as I've known you, almost, right? And so
Yeah.
is it still fun? Is it still exciting, Oscar Sunday, that you get to be there?
When you met me, I wasn't necessarily doing entertainment. I was a journal assignment reporter,
That's
so
right. That's
there was
right.
a lot of knocking on the door of the dead guy back then.
Well, I feel like I would always pull you into entertainment related things. Like I
You
feel
did,
like
you did, and they like to push me in those positions. As I mean, it wasn't until I think 2014 I was there 2 years, and then they're like, well, we know where you shine. We're gonna devise this role for you where you're gonna be covering entertainment. And I
yeah.
was like, this is great.
No, it's so fun, and
The
you're good
the
at it.
only difference is when you're a reporter, you could, get out of the van, interview a couple people, get your story right away, and then, kick your feet up and relax. With entertainment, you're always on everybody else's time. You
Right.
know,
You're
you
waiting for
may they may tell you, oh, you have a 3 o'clock interview with this celebrity, and then that celebrity doesn't show up till 5:30.
right, or you get to the red carpet at 6 and they're not there till 8.
Yeah, right.
But you're good at it, and like you get along well with celebrities. They like you. You've had one-on-ones with like Dave Matthews, who we love, and you've gotten access to almost everybody through your job, and it's like it's really cool.
There is one person. I was trying to think about this the other day. I think
Yeah.
there's one Hollywood celebrity that I've not interviewed.
Who?
Major actor nominated this year for Best Actor.
Leo?
Leo.
Really?
I've
I have
never
some
interviewed Leo.
I have some great Leo stories. He's been to my birthday parties. He's awesome. He's really cool. And he's you know what I love about him? He's a film nerd. Like I'll be at like a birthday party or a friend's party or whatever, and you'll end up standing in a circle with him. And he's just a regular dude. He wears this same LA black on black hat, and you're talking, and he'll be like, you know what? Sometimes I just like to stay home and show my girlfriend like movies she's never seen, and I'm just like, that is so cool. You're just a film nerd, like all of us, you know.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, like he loves movies, and that's why I think if you look at his career, he's worked with the best of the best directors, Christopher Nolan and Martin
Martin
Scorsese.
Scorsese,
Yeah,
and yeah,
Scorsese, because he really loves filmmaking. It's not just about like I want to be a movie star. He's James Cameron in Titanic. Like he's been in the
P.T. Anderson.
P.T. Anderson this year. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So it's like he's only works with the biggest and the best, and makes a movie every other year, and it's always amazing. So but then when you hang with him, he's just a regular guy, which is really fun. So we have to manifest you interviewing Leo. I think you guys would hit it off. Actually, That would be really cool. Oh,
I'll
that's
take your manifestation.
yeah, that's interesting. Do you remember we pitched an idea to KTLA for you to have your own like entertainment news show? And
Yeah,
we
you were
tried to
gonna
do
you were
it.
gonna be the producer on it.
I know it was like let's use all my connections, have you bring them on. We'll do like a talk show. I think they liked it. They just didn't know where to put it because they have like news every half hour. But
Right.
I think the working title was The Incredible Cult. Remember?
You came up with that, not me.
I don't think I did. No, someone else did. James did.
Oh,
I think our
oh, somebody
mutual
else, somebody
friend.
else did. Okay.
Yeah, James Trevina Brown, I think did.
Oh,
Um,
James Jermaine Brown.
yeah,
That's funny.
who I met through you. I feel like
Yeah.
he
Well,
said it.
if he came up with it, then it was definitely a joke.
No, but we used it in our meeting. But okay, so let's talk Oscars. Are you excited to be there Oscar Sunday? Like, how are you feeling now, a few days out?
I feel good. I always feel better leading up to it
Yeah.
after I know the material. I don't ever go into any award show, any event without being fully versed on all the material. And one of the reasons, aside from you being my buddy, but I'm thrilled to be talking to you in depth about all this today because I want to take mental notes.
Oh
I want to be
yeah.
prepared come Sunday.
Take mental notes.
And I know you're the perfect person to speak with.
You can write the notes down, whatever you need. This is going to be a crash course for you and anybody watching or listening in the movies of 2025 and the 98th annual Oscars. We'll always have this recorded.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please. Ask me.
Where did your infatuation with film come in?
From birth, I don't even know. I loved movies and TV shows growing up, like the magic of it. I would dream about it. I remember at night, like what sets looked like the how a wall's missing, like the three walls, and like on a set, and I don't know. I became fascinated with it. We would go on vacation to LA. I did the Universal Studios tour when I was 6. I filmed it with a camcorder. I would go home and watch it in New Jersey, watch the home movies from LA, and I just loved it. And now I've
So,
worked on the Universal lot, and I'm still that kid who loved driving onto the Universal lot. It's amazing.
so how long have you been watching film with that artistic eye?
I don't know. My earliest going back is like, I mean, honestly, like kindergarten. I knew I wanted to.
Wow.
I know. I knew I wanted to write and direct. I would like write a script for like a Brady Bunch episode because I used to watch the reruns before kindergarten, and I would bring it in and ask if I could like direct the school play, and I'd make myself Mike Brady, and I'd cast the rest of the kids, and I lined up 3 chairs, and I had 3 people sit in the chairs, 3 kneel in front, and 3 stand in the back, and it made the Brady Bunch grid. And my kindergarten teacher, Miss Sicknick, Elaine Sicknick, she was amazing. She would let me do things like this. And then when she retired, I wrote her this letter about like, thank you for like letting me like be creative in your class and not like stopping me. And she was like, oh, I want that letter to be read like at my eulogy one day. It was like really amazing that she let me do that. She easily could have been like, no, that's not in the curriculum. We're not doing your Brady Bunch play. But she let me do it. It was so cool. So yeah, kindergarten's my earliest memory of like directing, which is
Wow.
crazy. I
That's
know. And
phenomenal.
so, but I watched the Oscars going back to the 80s. Like I remember watching it in the mid 80s and Billy Crystal hosting and Whoopi Goldberg hosting and just obsessed with everything that happened that night. The winners, trying to predict them. We had this video store in East Brunswick, Video Vault, and you could predict the winners and then win like a year's worth of movie rentals. I mean, to me, it was like the coolest thing. And so I would enter it every year, and and at Syracuse, when I went to college, I would write for the Daily Orange, the newspaper, all the Oscar prediction articles, all the analysis of who got nominated, who got snubbed. So it's almost been like this side hobby, and the only outlet for it now is this podcast. So you're gonna learn a lot today, I think, and you'll on Sunday you can use it all on KTLA, and I'll be so proud and honored that you're sharing it with the world. But yeah, so let's get into it. So it's the 98th annual Oscars. We're getting closer to the 100th. I'd like to be at the 100th, so we'll manifest that as well. So last year, like I said, by the time we got to Oscar night, we basically knew it was Adrian Brody, Best Actor, Kieran Culkin and Zoe Saldana were supporting. Sean Baker had pretty much won everything for Honora. And like I said, the only real mystery was Demi Moore and Mikey Madison. This year, like I said, total opposite. So let's get into it. The nominees for Best Picture, we'll start with the biggest one, at the 2026 Oscars are Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. So when I predicted the nominations and I posted it, I got 9 out of 10, which was pretty awesome. I
Which
had
one didn't you get? Sentimental
I
value?
well, no, I actually didn't put Secret Agent. I put Weapons instead because
Okay.
I was thinking that there's a foreign film international feature category, so I was like, oh, Secret Agent will definitely end up there. So I was like, I think Weapons, because of Amy Madigan and because of Zach Kreger's script, I thought maybe it could sneak in, and because Warner Brothers has had such an amazing year with F1, One Battle, Sinners, I was like, maybe they can get another one. So that was the one, like flipped one,
Okay.
was Secret Agent instead of Weapons. So Secret Agent got in. And then out of those 10, do you have any personal favorites that you like?
So so there's the thing where I'm watching with both eyes. I'm watching with
Yes.
the entertainment eye and I'm watching with the artistic eye. So entertainment wise, I prefer One Battle After Another.
Okay.
I felt like that was my favorite film of the group. However, artistic eye, and I know I'm going to be in the minority of this, I felt what checked all the boxes to me was Frankenstein.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, if you
cool.
look at, I always compare films to like if you're playing like Madden 98 and you pick a player and they've got, stamina, agility, speed, and I think if you look at Frankenstein, if you look at the mise en scène, you look at the set design, you look at the costume, you look at the acting, I felt it checked all the boxes. Perhaps the weakest part of Frankenstein was the actual story.
Oh, interesting.
But to me, that had all the elements, the totality of what goes into a best picture.
I love hearing that. You're actually the first person I've heard say that about Frankenstein. It's so interesting. It's everyone's got a different opinion this year, which is what's making it so cool. But I think the general consensus, when you, like you said, the favorite movie as a viewer, as an audience member, feels like One Battle After Another. So a lot of the predicting, I use the precursor award. So all the other award shows that you guys cover from January to March. So I'll go over who won so far in Best Picture. Critics' Choice, One Battle After Another. Golden Globes, One Battle After Another in comedy musical, which is not exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
It was
And
Hamnet for drama.
and then Hamnet for drama, exactly. And then the BAFTAs, One Battle After Another. The PGA, which is a huge indicator, One Battle After Another. DGA, One Battle After Another. And then SAG Ensemble went to Sinners. So that was the first place One Battle lost. But SAG Ensemble is really for cast, not picture. So it sometimes lines up. I looked it up, and it's only happened 8 times since the SAG Awards started in 1995, where the winner of Ensemble won Best Picture. So this doesn't mean like Sinners has it because of that. And in the last 10 years, it only happened 3 times with Spotlight, Parasite, and Oppenheimer. But that's pretty recent, so it does happen. So you could say like all those things One Battle won, Sinners still had SAG. So the other thing I need to say about
Well,
Sinners,
Sinners not only had SAG, but they had the Editors Guild and they had the Writers Guild.
that's right. Well, Writers Guild they do adapted and original,
Right.
so they keep battling it out. No pun intended. Those two, uh, one battle for adapted and Sinners for original. So they keep both winning
Right.
screenplay. So again, it's like you try to figure it out, and it's hard.
And to your point last year, I believe Honora got shut out at SAG
Right.
and then won
Exactly.
Best Picture.
Exactly. Because they were winning all the other ones. And so it's like it's so interesting to like figure it out and see what's a pattern, but then every few years like there's an anomaly.
Right.
That's why it's fun for me. And it's like a total hobby of just like following this all year round. But like the other big thing about Sinners this year is that it has the most Oscar nominations of the year and also the
Of
most
all time,
all
right?
time. Exactly.
Yeah.
16. So it broke the record for most Oscar nominations ever for a movie. Do you know the ones that were the previous? You want me to tell you?
Yeah. 1950.
Yes.
What's I'm drawing a blank. What is it?
Okay. All About Eve, 1950.
All About Eve.
You're
Yeah.
right. Do you know the other two?
Uh,
More recent.
mm-mm.
Okay. Titanic
Oh, Titanic. Yeah, that's on
and
there.
and
Oh,
La
and
La,
La La Land.
La La Land. Exactly.
Yeah.
So those
Okay.
three, All About Eve, Titanic, La La Land, each had 14 nominations, which people were like, how do you ever get more than 14? Now Sinners has 16. And then some people were saying, well, we added best casting this year. So of course it got more. But even without best casting, it would have had 15. So either way, it was breaking the record
Yeah.
this year, which is cool. And then One Battle After Another got 13. Would have had 14, but Chase Infinity was not nominated for Best Actress, even though she was nominated everywhere else leading up to it. So it really feels like a race to me between One Battle After Another and Sinners. Your favorite or your choice, Frankenstein, will win in other categories. We'll get to that, but I think picture is down to now those two.
Do you believe that the momentum is now on Sinner's side?
It's interesting. I don't know because it's like they both have the momentum. Like statistically, one battle has the momentum. I saw something that said like a headline on Gold Derby today that said one battle after another has the stats, but Sinners has the vibes, and it
Hmm.
feels that way. Like you could see either movie winning, which was such a great way of putting it. Like Sinners feels like a Best Picture winner, and that's how I feel about Michael B. Jordan, and that's how I feel about Ryan Coogler's script. Like they feel like winners, which we'll get to. But I also mentioned Sinners and One Battle After Another are both Warner Brothers movies. This is just like a fun fact. So it's the same studio competing against each other. Usually it's different studios and they like do smear campaigns and stuff to try to win. But because it's the same studio, it's been kind of pleasant watching One Battle and Sinners battle it out because it's Warner Brothers, like it's been nice this year. And Warner Brothers, I also have to mention, I know Mike DeLuca, who's the studio head with Pam Abdi, they had an amazing 2025. They had 8 number 1 movies in a row, which never happens. It was Minecraft, Sinners, Final Destination Bloodlines, F1, Superman, Weapons, The Conjuring Last Rites, and One Battle After Another. And then it continued into 2026 with Wuthering Heights was their 9th in a row. And so just the fact that people are going to the movies and going back to theaters, and I think that's why there's an energy this year. And I think Kate Hudson's been saying it in interviews like this is such a fun year to be part of the Oscar race because so many people went to the theaters again to see all these movies. So have you noticed that? Do you think there's like a more celebratory this year? Like Honora was a small movie last year in comparison.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we're starting to see some of those bigger pictures in more mainstream films like F1,
Yeah,
like Frankenstein,
yeah.
like One Battle After Another. I mean, but I believe we also saw that last year with Oppenheimer, or 2 years
Well,
ago
two
with
years ago. Yeah,
Oppenheimer.
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. Like the Oppenheimer Barbie thing is kind of what started bringing people back,
yeah.
which was cool. But Oppenheimer was winning everything, and there was no suspense that year. I felt
Oh,
like
dude, Oppenheimer is like one of the greatest films of the last century. I
it was
mean,
incredible. Yeah, I
yeah.
actually I did the Barbenheimer thing at Century City. Opening night, I went to both movies back to back, IMAX. I mean, it was crazy, but I had to do it. I was like, got totally caught up in it, and it was pretty fun. But okay, so let's say the safe bet for Best Picture is One Battle After Another, based on all of the precursor wins. It won everything it needed to win, like I said, except Best Ensemble at SAG, which isn't really a predictor anyway. But there is a chance that Sinners wins. There could be a La La Land, Moonlight surprise. Either way, when the envelope opens, it's going to be a surprise, I think. So my prediction for Best Picture, One Battle After Another, PGA, DGA, BAFTA. But again, will not be surprised if Sinners wins. What do you think? What's your prediction for that?
I'm gonna go with the consensus. One
One
Battle After
battle.
Another.
Okay, and
Yeah,
you loved it, so that's good. So that's
yeah.
fun. That's exciting. I have to also add before we move on to the next category. So I saw Sinners in April 2025. So I've been talking about the movie for a full year, and the day I saw it in IMAX 70 millimeter at the Grove, I was blown away by it, and I tweeted, "Go see Sinners on the biggest screen possible, IMAX 70 millimeter. Keep switching genres, and you just go along for the ride. Drama, musical, horror." Then I wrote potential Oscar nominations: picture, director Ryan Coogler, actor Michael B. Jordan, supporting Delroy Lindo, Wunmi Masaku, and Jack O'Connell. So
Wow.
aside from Jack O'Connell, I nailed
You're
it.
pretty accurate.
April 2025.
April.
I go off this feeling while I'm watching it. Am I watching an Oscar performance? And for me, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo and Wunmi Musaku really felt like Oscar performances sitting there in the theater. And then then you start reading articles and it clouds your brain and other people are front runners. But I always try to tweet immediately after seeing a movie so I remember what I felt in the theater.
I have a similar story with Everything Everywhere All at Once. I just
Oh,
don't have any
really?
evidence. But
No,
I said the
tell me.
same thing about Everything Everywhere when I saw it like in April of that year.
No way.
Yeah.
That's what's cool is when a movie can sustain it. It's very rare for a
Mm.
movie from March or April. I remember Gladiator so many years ago sustained it for a year.
Oh
But
yeah.
the March April release date to then get the most Oscar nominations ever is really impressive. And so that takes us to Best Director. The nominees are Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another, Joaquin Trier, Sentimental Value, Ryan Coogler, Sinners, and you know who's missing from the five? is your boy Guillermo del Toro, Frankenstein, and it's crazy he's missing because he was nominated for DGA, and so
Which is
usually,
another indication that Frankenstein's not going to win Best Picture because you can't have the
right,
Best Director not even be nominated.
rarely. Argo is a very rare
Oh
bet.
yeah, yeah, there
Like,
you go.
and like Ron Howard, I remember Apollo 13 year he wasn't nominated, but but yeah, so like DGA, those five usually match the Oscars. So when I made my prediction, I did the exact same five as the DGA anyway, and Guillermo del Toro seemed like a lock for Frankenstein, and Joaquin Trier got in for Sentimental Value, and it's hard because there's 10 Best Picture and only five Best Director, so there's always going to be five left out. But what do you think about that? The Guillermo del Toro snub, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think it is a snub. I also think Oscar Isaac is a snub. I thought his performance was incredible.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm going to be bitter about Frankenstein come
No,
come Sunday.
I kind of love the Frankenstein love. I love the discourse because I haven't really heard it. Everyone's talking about all the other ones.
I know,
You hear a
I
lot
know.
about Hamnet, you hear a lot about Marty Supreme, you hear a lot about Sentimental Value, aside from, One Battle and Sinners. So let's talk about who's won the precursors for director. Okay, this is a pretty much a sweep. Critics' Choice, Paul Thomas Anderson. One Battle After Another. Golden Globes, Paul Thomas Anderson. BAFTAs, Paul Thomas Anderson. DGA, Paul Thomas Anderson. So, uh, here's what's so interesting. He's been nominated for 14 Oscars and has zero. This is Paul Thomas
Wow.
Anderson, who, when I saw him at the Beverly Hills Hotel one day at the counter in that fountain coffee room, he was with Maya Rudolph, and I walked in and I sat right next to him, and I was like, sorry, I have to tell you, like, I'm a huge fan. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. I was like, I can't sit next to this guy and not tell him. I mean, if you think about the movies he's been nominated for, Boogie Nights,
Hmm.
Magnolia, There Will Be Blood, which won Best Actor, Inherent Vice, Phantom Thread, and Licorice Pizza, 14 nominations since the 90s. It's like, even One Battle After Another is a huge hit, but it still feels like it's almost time for Paul Thomas Anderson to win an Oscar. It just feels so overdue. How does he have zero? Do you know what I mean? Do you feel
Yeah,
that sentiment kind of like it's overdue?
I
Mm.
do. I do. The only thing that I think could potentially happen is Ryan Coogler for Sinners. I mean, it's going to be the Sinners versus one battle after another. But I don't believe that you and I can predict Best Picture going to one and then Best Director going to another. So
I
it's going to have
know.
to be consistent there.
I'm gonna stay consistent. Yes, my prediction for Best Director, I'm going with Paul Thomas Anderson. But there are a lot of people saying either Ryan Coogler for director and then One Battle for picture, or the opposite, PTA for director and Sinners for picture. People are predicting a split, but I'm going to stick with One Battle for both.
The where I could see the split is screenplay. I could see screenplay going to
Oh yeah.
Sinners.
Well, no,
Yeah.
screenplay again. Sinners is original, and
Oh,
One
right.
Battle is adapted. So they're both. So that's the thing. Here's
So
actually something interesting is that earlier in the evening, and we'll get to screenplay. Ryan Coogler and Paul Thomas Anderson will both win their first Oscar. So by the time it gets to director and picture, they'll each have one. So that's when it's I just get chills saying that. But like it's gonna be so cool when we get to director because either way, the one that doesn't get it has one. So they're not like
right.
leaving empty handed. So it's almost like a Hollywood storybook ending either way, which is cool. And they do both deserve it for the scripts. Those scripts are two of the best scripts ever and of this year. Um, so yeah, the only other person, if not PTA, would be Ryan Coogler for Sinners. Now I got to tell you, you'll like this. My Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan story. So Michael B. Jordan was on my podcast back in the day with Fruitvale, and he's an old friend of mine. And his first movie with Ryan Coogler, and Ryan Coogler's first movie ever was Fruitvale Station, and it premiered at Sundance in January 2013, and I was there with them. And I mean, Michael B. and I go back to like his TV days. He wasn't a movie star yet. He was on Friday Night Lights and Parenthood, and before that, obviously, The Wire.
Was it the Jersey Connection?
Well, no, I kind of, but we met in LA. We just had a lot of
Yeah.
mutual friends, and we hit it off. And I directed this PSA for staying in school for the Get Schooled Foundation, and I asked him to be in it because he was on Friday Night Lights, and I asked all my friends who were in like high school themed, movies or TV shows to be in this PSA. So I got to direct Michael B. Jordan, and I knew that day I was like, he's winning an Oscar one day. I'm telling you, he was so good. Because I said, here's the script, but you can improv. and he went off book. I have the footage, and I made his own. Like, it's a 30-second spot of everybody, but I also made a 30-second just Michael B. Jordan version because it was so good. I just felt it. I'm like, this kid's so talented, and he's also so nice. He's the nicest guy, and we'll get to Best Actor. But what I was going to say is, at Sundance that year with Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, who were both new on the scene in terms of movies, and Sundance is all about movies, and I watched their lives change before my eyes. I'm telling you, we walked into the theater for the Fruitvale Station premiere. They were two different people. We go in, the lights go down, the movie comes on. At the end, it gets a standing ovation. I think to myself, I'm like, that was incredible. He's going to get nominated, if not now, one day. And then they announced that the real family of Oscar Grant, which was Michael B. Jordan's character in the movie, who he's playing a real guy, the real family was there. And they bring them up, and they're crying, and everyone stands up for them, and the whole theater was crying. It was an incredible moment. And so we go to the after party, and we find out Weinstein Company wants to buy the movie for $2 million, this small movie. And I literally saw the industry, everyone at the party, talking to Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. All of a sudden, we've been at Sundance and walking in the streets, and no one was coming over. And then now at the party, everyone's coming over, right? And they're all telling Michael B. you're going to be the next Denzel. You're the next Denzel. And I remember him saying to me, they keep saying I'm the next Denzel. I want to be the next Leo. And it was so interesting to me because why only Denzel? So it was so cool that he said that, and I'll never forget it. I can see his face saying it to me at the after party for Fruitvale Station at Sundance in 2013. And now, 13 years later, he's nominated for Best Actor with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Wow, that's really cool.
Incredible. So that's why I'm so passionate about this season. I'm like, it's amazing. And Ryan Coogler has done incredible stuff with Black Panther, everything since 2013. So I've watched the two of them become huge stars and power players at the Oscars. And so all of that is to say I would be okay with a Ryan Coogler win. But
it's a cool story, bro.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
To see people treat you one way before the movie and then another way at the after party. They were the hottest thing in town, and he came back to LA and we recorded a podcast and we got that excitement recorded, and he's gone on to become such a huge star. So I won't be surprised if it's Ryan Coogler for Sinners, but my prediction, Paul Thomas Anderson. Okay, Best Actor, speaking of Michael B. Jordan. So I'll go through the nominees first, and then we'll get into it, because this is a really interesting one. So the nominees for Best Actor are Timothée Chalamet, Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke, Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan, Sinners, and Wagner Moura, The Secret Agent. Now, all season there were 7 guys taking turns being in the top 5. So the 2 snubs, I would say, and if you have any snubs, actually you mentioned Oscar Isaac for Frankenstein. That's a big one, but so he would even be the 8th. But I was going to say Jesse Plemons for Begonia and Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams. Jesse was nominated for Golden Globe, BAFTA, and SAG, which is usually an indicator. And Joel Edgerton was nominated for Critics' Choice and Golden Globe. So those 2 I almost feel like were next. And then I'm thinking Oscar Isaac maybe was 8th, But ultimately,
I would agree with that, by the way.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why, part of me wishes the Oscars would expand every category. They made picture 10. At least make actor and actress and supporting, make them 7 or something. There's always 2 people who come so close and then get left out. And at the Emmys, they do it based on how many shows are eligible. You could either have 5, 6, 7, 8 in a category. But I don't know. There's always these 2 guys or 2 women who just almost get it. And we'll get into all of those. But with the acting categories, let's say the precursors for Best Actor. So far, here's who won, and I'm sure you've covered all of this. Critics' Choice, Timothée Chalamet, Marty Supreme. Golden Globes, Timothée Chalamet, Marty Supreme, comedy musical. Wagner Moura, Secret Agent, drama. Okay, so in the beginning, it's this is Timothée Chalamet's to lose, right? And he beat Leo and Michael B at both of those, so he was getting the momentum, and Marty Supreme was still new in theaters and was making a lot of money. Then come the BAFTAs, right?
Robert. Yeah, go ahead.
Robert Aramayo from this movie, I Swear, who is not nominated at the Oscars.
Right, not even in a conversation all year.
Not even in the coverage. I don't even know if that movie, I Swear, came out in America, which might be why it could be a British thing. But he beat Timothy, Leo, Ethan Hawke, Michael B., Jesse Plemons, not nominated, right? Now we get to SAG, and we're like, what's going to happen? Because we don't know who won BAFTA, would have won BAFTA, or who was second. Michael B. Jordan wins for Sinners. And of course, after hearing that story, I felt in my heart he could win it. And it's SAG is interesting. It's voted on only by other actors. He's very well liked, you know, this beloved guy, this nice guy. I feel like he has the support of a lot of his fellow actors, aside from the fact that he's so talented and he's always done such good work. But he's also, these are his first nominations. You know, we've never seen him on stage before accepting these awards. He's very humble, which you can't say about everybody. And I just think people really like him, you know? And so when the season started, I was thinking Leo has this in the bag. Like, you see one battle after another, you're like, who's beating Leonardo DiCaprio? Best actor of our generation, right? He won National Board of Review. Then Ethan Hawke won LA Film Critic. So I'm like, who is it going to be? And then the chips start to fall into place. So what are you thinking? Best actor?
I got to be honest with you. I wasn't blown away by any performance.
Wow.
It's not like Jesse Buckley when you watch it, you're like, oh, give her the award now, you know.
Right, right.
I I liked I liked all the performances and I thought they were all great. The one performance that I think stood out among the rest was actually Ethan Hawke.
Wow.
But I don't think though personally, I don't think those types of films should be included. And what I mean by those films is the films that are like Broadway shows. They take place in one setting, like Fences, like August Osage County, um, and like Blue Moon. It took place in a bar the entire time, and he carried it with his dialogue. Now, I
Wow.
think on an acting level, I think that's above the rest, but it's more of a Broadway play.
Wow.
So
That's a
again,
hot take.
looking at the nominees, I would say preferred probably Leo's performance. However, I'm going to vote Michael B. Jordan.
Nice. Okay. See, when I'm watching Sinners, I'm thinking Michael B. Jordan has it. Then I see one battle, I'm like, Leo has it. Then I see Marty Supreme, I'm like, oh, Timothy, this is a career-defining Oscar performance. What do you think of Timothy and Marty Supreme? How'd you feel about that?
I liked it. I just didn't. I don't know how much of a departure it is from Timothy. You
Right.
know.
Well, I think he wanted that. I think he wanted to blur the line between him and Marty Supreme, and he's been doing it since he won the SAG for A Complete Unknown last year when he got up there and he said he wanted to be one of the greats. I think he was
Yeah.
laying the groundwork for Marty Supreme.
The question is,
Yeah.
before you get into your pick, the
Yes.
question is, do his recent social media comments and the controversy surrounding them, do they hurt his chances at this award?
If they had happened a little earlier, I would say yes. But it seems like the social media firestorm around him criticizing ballet and opera seems like it came at the very tail end of voting, if not after voting had closed. So there might have been people who would have changed it after that, but I think voting was already in. But the difference is during voting was when Michael B. Jordan won for SAG. So that could have shifted people more than the controversy. The controversy
Okay.
feels like it came late. Had that controversy happened a week or two earlier, I mean, and also who I wonder, like, it was an hour long conversation between Timothy and Matthew McConaughey. Like, who clipped that 14-second clip and put it out on social media out of context to like smear
Right.
him? Like, who did that? Like,
I
somebody
know.
did not want him to win, but it feels like that was a little too late.
Well, what's unusual too about Timothy is, I mean, you would probably know this off the top of your head, but when was the last time we saw a Best Actor winner where nobody else in the cast was even nominated?
Well, that it does happen. Like, you know, Brendan Fraser in The Whale. Like, it does happen where,
Okay.
you know, right, like Sinners and One Battle feel like so beloved, and then you're looking, they're all their actors and sentimental value. All the actors from that movie got nominated. So yes, it does feel like Marty Supreme didn't have the full support because no one else got nominated. But it's definitely possible. I mean, there's a lot of times where like Julianne Moore was the only nominee for Still Alice, and she won, and you know Jessica Chastain, Eyes of
I love
Tammy
that you know
Faye.
this off the top of your head.
Oh yeah.
So if you had your choice for Best Actor, who is it?
Oh well. So my prediction as of today, a few days leading up to the Oscars, I'm going with Michael B. Jordan. Now I know that I have a bias. I know he's a friend. I know my heart wants Michael B. Jordan to win Best Actor, but I do think something shifted after he won the SAG award, and that the voters saw him up there and liked it and remembered that, you know what, even though it came out last April, like, we loved Sinners and he played twins in Sinners, He played Smoke and Stack, and they're totally different. And he made it look easy, but it's not easy, you know. And so my prediction and who I want is Michael B. Jordan. But you know, Timothy Chalamet was the front runner for so long. He won the precursor awards. He could very easily win on Oscar Sunday. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Timothy Chalamet. If people are placing bets in Vegas, it might still be Timothy Chalamet. But I mean, honestly, there's an argument for all five of these guys. Like, there's a world where Leonardo DiCaprio wins because people love him. If there was another year without Sinners and without Marty Supreme, he would have walked away with it, you know. He's only won once before for The Revenant in 2016.
Right.
But he's been nominated 7 times, and it should have been more than that. And then Ethan Hawke also feels overdue for an Oscar. I know what you said about Blue Moon, but like, he's been good for so long. You know, he was nominated for Training Day, which Denzel won for. He was nominated for Boyhood, which Patricia Arquette won for. He was nominated for the screenplays of Before Sunset and Before Midnight. All of these guys feel like winners. It's a really strong lineup. But again, hard telling me Michael B. Jordan. My prediction for Sunday, Michael B. Jordan, Best Actor. But it might be Timothy Chalamet. So there's a little asterisk after that. It's interesting too because the SAG award doesn't always go to the best actor for the Oscar. So, you know, if you look at like Denzel Washington won for Fences, and then Casey Affleck won for Manchester by the Sea, or Chadwick Boseman won for Ma Rainey's, and then Anthony Hopkins won the Oscar for The Father. Even with actresses, I think it was Lily Gladstone won the SAG, Emma Stone won for Poor Things, and again last year Demi Moore won the SAG, and Mikey Madison won the Oscar. The one recent example that works in Michael B. Jordan's favor is that when Austin Butler won the BAFTA for Elvis, Brendan Fraser won the SAG for The Whale and then won the Oscar. So if you want to look at like recent history,
but Brendan Fraser also won Critics' Choice. Like, he won others as well.
Yeah. It's really interesting. That's why it's fun. Like, it's going to be really fun to watch this year in a way that it hasn't been in a while. Honestly, like, it's been so predictable because there are so many award shows leading up to it, which we didn't have when we were kids. It was like the Golden Globes and then a month later the Oscars, you know, and they've rarely lined up. And now it's like we can really do these mathematical equations and figure it out. But yeah, so let's get to Best Actress. You mentioned this earlier, that it seems like a lock, you know. So Best Actress, the nominees are Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson, Song Sung Blue, Renate Reinsve, Sentimental Value, and Emma Stone, Begonia. The snubs here, I would say, were Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another. It was a surprise because she was nominated for Critics' Choice, Golden Globe, BAFTA, and SAG. She even got a SAG nomination over Renate Reinsve from Sentimental Value, but then didn't get the Oscar nomination. I think, personally, if she had gone supporting, she might have had a better chance. Lead was really stacked this year. And really, if you see One Battle, Tana Taylor's the first half and Chase Infinity is the second half. They do feel like supporting actresses compared to Leo, who's in the whole thing. And then I would say the other snub was Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee, because I think that movie just came out too late in the year. There were already too many other things getting nominated, but she did get nominated for Critics' Choice and Golden Globe. People seem to love that movie. She's very beloved, but it's just the timing. So the precursors: Critics' Choice, Jessie Buckley, Hamnet; Golden Globes, Jessie Buckley, Hamnet for drama; Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs I'd Kick You for comedy musical. It's also a drama. BAFTAs, Jessie Buckley, Hamnet; SAG, Jessie Buckley, Hamnet. Rose Byrne did win Independent Spirit Award, LA Film Critics, New York Film Critics, National Board of Review. So if anybody can win it over Jessie Buckley, it's Rose Byrne. But really, it looks like it's Jessie Buckley's award, right? Would you agree?
Again, the only thing that I have to preface is I have not seen Kate Hudson's performance in Song Sung Blue.
Right.
However, when I watched all these, I watched If I Had Legs I'd Kick You. That was one of the first ones I saw in this category. And immediately I was like, wow, Rose Byrne blew my mind. Like, I didn't even know she had it in her. Like, this was really good, an emotional roller coaster role. I mean, like, I gave it to her on the spot then. And then I saw Hamnet.
Exactly. Same here. I saw him in that order too.
Yeah. So would you agree that you thought Rose was the front runner until you saw Jessie Buckley's performance?
Definitely. And I had been hearing about Jessie Buckley and Hamnet. I just hadn't seen it yet. So it was one of those things where I was like, I knew in the back of my mind someone was coming for Rose Byrne, even though she was winning a lot of the early stuff. But people love Rose Byrne. It's like a Michael B. Jordan feeling. Like a lot of Academy members, I'm sure, have worked with her, and fellow actors love her. And but I think Jessie Buckley in Hamnet is just too undeniable. You
I
know,
think if there were ever a sure thing come Sunday, it's Jessie Buckley winning for Hamnet.
Yeah, I think it's the only short thing actually
Yeah.
this year. Another thing to note: Rose Byrne's the one nomination for "If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You," which does in Oscar history, like you mentioned, like it's hard to be the only nominee. And Kate Hudson is the only nomination for "Song Sung Blue," but Kate Hudson did get nominated this year. She really came through this season. She got Golden Globe, BAFTA, SAG. It feels like the Oscar nomination for her is the win this year. Just she's part of it. She's back. She has a ton of support. If she pulled off a win, it would be redemption for her not winning for Almost Famous 25 years ago. I'm sure. Are you an Almost Famous fan?
I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. I feel like you would love
Yeah.
that movie. I mean, Penny Lane should have been a Best Supporting Actress when she did win the Golden Globe that year. Do you know who she lost to? Do you know this Oscar history?
This would have been 2000, 2001.
2000 movies, but 2001 Oscars
2001 Oscars, 2000 movies. Let's see. So Gladiator.
that year.
Uh, yeah. So it was, who did she lose to?
So she lost to Marcia Gay Harden for Polly.
Oh,
Now, I
okay.
don't know if you know this. You should know this for your Oscar lore. But Marcia Gay Harden won the Oscar that year without winning any precursors or even being nominated at them,
Really?
which
Okay.
never happens. Okay. It's still talked about to this day. Like, oh, that's a Marcia Gay Harden there. If she wins, she's Marcia Gay Harden. If he wins, he's Marcia Gay Harden. So everyone just make a mental note. I might be bringing up Marcia Gay Harden a couple more times as we go through these nominations, and you'll see why. So, Best Supporting Actor, the nominees are Benicio del Toro, One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi, Frankenstein, Delroy Lindo, Sinners, Sean Penn, One Battle After Another, Stellan Skarsgård, Sentimental Value. The big snub here, I would say, was Paul Mescal for Hamnet. I mean, anyone who sees that movie, it's him.
Yeah.
It's him and Jessie Buckley throughout the whole thing. Especially she's the front runner. You would think he'd be in there too. He was nominated for Critics' Choice, Golden Globe, BAFTA, SAG. The other snubs, you could say Miles Caton for Sinners. He was nominated for SAG, and Stellan Skarsgård wasn't. You could also make an argument for Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly was nominated for Critics' Choice and Golden Globe. We've all been waiting for him to get nominated since like Punch Drunk Love with Paul Thomas Anderson or Uncut Gems. I personally would like to see Adam Sandler get an Oscar nomination someday. But these five are pretty undeniable. The precursors were Critics' Choice, Jacob Elordi, Frankenstein. That's your movie. Golden Globe, Stellan Skarsgård, Sentimental Value. BAFTAs, Sean Penn, One Battle After Another. SAG, Sean Penn, One Battle After Another. No Stellan Skarsgård at SAG. That was Paul Mescal and Miles Caton. And then Benicio del Toro, New York Film Critics, and National Board of Review. The only person who hasn't been nominated until the Oscars is Delroy Lindo for Sinners. He's the Marcia Gay Harden of the year. So if he wins, he follows in her footsteps with no nominations or wins at any of the precursor ceremonies, but wins the Oscar. And I personally could see a Delroy Lindo surprise because he's never won, never been nominated. People thought he should have won for Defy Bloods in 2021. He wasn't even nominated. And Sinners is just such a beloved movie with so many nominations. It feels like he could do it. He accepted the award when the cast won at SAG. We've seen him up there accepting. People like him. And we don't, it's funny because people are like, well, can he beat Sean Penn? And we're like, we don't know. He's never been in a category with him before. He hasn't been in with any of these guys. So it could be one of those out of nowhere wins. And Sean Penn hasn't been going at the awards.
I
So
think that's hurting him. Yeah.
and so it's kind of like he didn't go to BAFTA, he didn't go to SAG, he did go to Golden Globes where he didn't win, but like I don't know, we haven't seen him. Maybe people are like, you know what, we want to see someone get on stage, and we don't know if Sean Penn's going to show up.
The other thing is I don't think there's any momentum in this category. There hasn't been all year. It's been, like you said, I mean, like, we have was it Stellan at Globes?
Yeah, Stellan Globes.
Stellan at Globes, and then immediately after that, Critics' Choice, it was Jacob.
Yeah.
And
What do you think about the Jacob Elordi win?
I was surprised. I thought he deserved the recognition. I didn't think he was going to win. And when he won at Critics, I was like, okay, maybe his name is going to be in the conversation. And it's deservingly so. I thought he was brilliant. I personally, I think I was favoring Sean Penn's performance,
Yeah,
but Sean Penn hadn't won anything up until BAFTA.
I know.
And then SAG, and it seems as if the momentum's going his way. But I'd have to agree with you. I do believe that Hollywood loves these stories, especially the legacy actor who's never won before, never nominated, or never won before, and then now finally at what 73 years old
Yeah, and
gets
he's
his glory. I mean, I,
right.
I could clearly see Delroy Lindo winning in this category.
It would be really cool, and it would just throw all of these stats out the window if he could pull it off. I could just see it for some reason. I could see Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan holding Oscars and celebrating. I can visualize that.
Yeah,
And Sean Penn, he has two Oscars already in Best Actor. He won for Mystic River, co-starring Marcia Gay Harden. He won for Milk, and
right.
so he already has two. He doesn't need it. You know what I mean?
No, no.
It
And
would be
he's had the
cool.
nominations, you know.
Yeah, it would be cool. Only a handful of actors have three: Meryl Streep, Jack Nicholson, Frances McDormand, Daniel Day-Lewis, and then before that it was like Ingrid Bergman, Walter Brennan, and then the all-timer Katharine Hepburn has four. But is Sean Penn winning a third? I don't know. So here's the thing: the smart money, if you're betting money on this, is Sean Penn, right? But the vibe vote is Delroy Lindo. So my prediction, because of just trying to get it right and nail it, is Sean Penn. But I see Delroy Lindo going up on that stage, so I'm gonna also say I won't be surprised if it's Delroy Lindo. It'd be a pleasant surprise.
That's exactly how I would go.
Yeah,
I would vote Sean Penn, but I wouldn't be surprised if Delroy won.
yeah, I'd be happy if he did. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Sean Penn also. When I saw that movie, I was like, "Who's beating Sean Penn?" You know, when you're watching one battle after another, he comes across as so brilliant. He's playing a villain. They love villains. If you look at Heath Ledger, Joker, Dark Knight, Christoph Waltz in Glorious Bastards, and Django Unchained, Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men, they all
Oh
won.
yeah.
They all won in this category, Best Supporting Actor. So we will see. And then speaking of supporting villains, there are some in this category. So let's get to Best Supporting Actress. Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value, Inga Ibsdottir Lilius, Sentimental Value, Amy Madigan, Weapons, Wunmi Mosaku, Sinners, Teyana Taylor, One Battle After Another. There were some big snubs. Ariana Grande for Wicked, for Good. Like people thought all year she's finally winning for Wicked, not even nominated. Wicked for Good got zero nominations this year.
Right.
People were just kind of like, we did it last year, we're not doing it this year. It seems
Yeah.
to be what happened. And then Odessa Azion for Marty Supreme, I would have nominated. And I also loved Gwyneth Paltrow in Marty Supreme. I thought that was such a cool comeback and the role she played. I loved both of them in that movie. Ariana was nominated for Critics' Choice, Golden Globe, SAG. Odessa was nominated for BAFTA, SAG. But again, only 5 slots. So at the precursors, Critics' Choice, Amy Madigan, Weapons. She's the only nomination for Weapons. Golden Globes, Teyana Taylor, One Battle After Another. Star-making role, right? BAFTAs, Wunmi Mosaku, Sinners. She's British. It's a British award show. And then SAG, back around. We've come full circle to Amy Madigan for Weapons again. Elle Fanning and Inga were not nominated at SAG. That's where Ariana and Odessa both got in. So that's why it's been such a free-for-all. So since Amy Madigan is the one nomination for Weapons, that's really the only thing statistically against her. But like Sean Penn, it's a villain role. It's it's very Heath Ledger Jokerish. She invented this character, Aunt Gladys. I'm sure people will be dressed as her for Halloween. Like, it's kind of iconic. And Amy Madigan, Aunt Gladys, and Sean Penn Lockjaw, I can kind of see that. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'd have to go with two things you said before. When you were talking about One Battle After Another, and you were saying the first chapter was Tiana Taylor's, and
Yeah.
then yeah, uh, Tiana Taylor's role to me was, she was brilliant in the first 20 minutes of the film in which she was in, but then she was out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Where if you look at Amy Madigan's performance, she was kind of the star of the film,
Even
even
though
though
she's not in it much. That's what's
right, she doesn't have
fascinating.
the screen time, but she's the
Yeah.
star of the film.
Yeah.
And then to revert back to what you said with the men was the Academy loves a villain. Well, Gladys is a villain.
She really is. Yeah. And she like invented this new character that I don't know how it would have been if anyone else played it. It wouldn't have been exactly the same. And here's what's cool about Amy Madigan. She was nominated for an Oscar in this same category in 1986, so exactly 40 years ago, for a movie called Twice in a Lifetime. and now 40 years later, this is her chance to win. It does have that Delroy Lindo like veteran actor win feeling. And here's another Marcia Gay Harden reference. But when she won for Pollock, that movie was directed by Ed Harris, who also played Jackson Pollock, who's married to Amy Madigan. So Amy Madigan was also in Pollock. When Marcia Gay Harden wins her Oscar, if you go back and watch it, it keeps cutting to Ed Harris and Amy Madigan cheering her on in the audience because they're in the movie with her. Ed directed it. He was nominated for Best Actor. So I'm thinking 25 years later, we're going to sort of bookend that Marcia Gay Harden like victory with Amy Madigan, who cheered her on, also getting a chance to go up and win Best Supporting Actress.
I'm gonna tease that going to commercial break. What does
You
Marcia
have
Gay
to.
Harden have to do with this year's Academy Awards?
Exactly.
A
You
lot.
can literally bring this to the world. There are YouTube videos about it,
Okay.
but it's really one of those Oscar mysteries, you know. Okay, so my prediction for Best Supporting Actress, Amy Madigan, Weapons, Aunt Gladys. I can see her up on that stage winning. But I have to say, I will not be surprised if it's Teyana Taylor or Wunmi Mosaku if Sinners just sweeps everything. So it could go. It's really a three-way race, but prediction-wise, I'm going with Amy Madigan. What about you?
I phrase it the exact same way.
Perfect.
My choice is Amy Madigan,
I love
but I
it.
wouldn't be surprised if Wunmi Mosaku, kind of again with the vibe,
Yep.
snuck in there.
Exactly. Because you're right. Like you mentioned Everything Everywhere All at Once. Remember, it won
Right.
actress, supporting actor, and supporting actress. So sometimes a movie can win three or more,
And
acting.
that was another example of loving the legacy actor.
Exactly. Exactly. Jamie Lee Curtis in the same category. You're right. And so now the next two categories are locks. Like these two are the locks. Best Original Screenplay. The nominees are Blue Moon, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, Sinners. Ryan Coogler is winning for Sinners. This is guaranteed win for the night. So my prediction: Ryan Coogler, Sinners. Best Adapted Screenplay: Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, Train Dreams. Paul Thomas Anderson is winning Best Adapted Screenplay for One Battle After Another. This is his guaranteed win for the night. Probably his first of three. So Ryan Coogler and PTA will be literally battling it out for director and picture, but they'll have both won screenplay, which will be a really nice
Yeah,
moment.
it's cool to have set it up that way.
I love it. I think it's going to be great. It just happened to be that way. So yeah, my prediction for best adapted screenplay: Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another. What do you think for
I
screen?
agree. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, those are 100%. Okay, so those are the big eight. Those are like the main ones that I get super passionate about, right? But there's 24, so I'm going to go through the rest quickly just so people can, follow along. So, best casting is the new category this year, and we've never had that before. It's going to be really interesting. The nominees are Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, and Sinners. Brand new award. All five are deserving. I mean, the casting in some of those is just incredible. You look at Marty Supreme and One Battle After Another. I mean, those are perfectly cast movies. But my prediction, Francine Maisler for Sinners, I mean, that movie is just brilliantly cast. There's so many
It
good
is.
roles. She's also like a legend in Hollywood, and I think it would be very cool that she won the inaugural Oscar for casting. It just feels right. So my prediction, Sinners. Now, best cinematography, the nominees are Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners, Train Dreams. I'm thinking for you, you would pick Frankenstein. Would you for cinematography? What do you
Yeah,
think?
probably.
You would. So for,
Yeah, either Frankenstein or One Battle.
yeah, so for me, it feels like One Battle After Another. This is one of the places that I think it does win. Just think about the scene when they're driving up and down on those hills in the cars. Train Dreams did win a bunch of precursor awards for cinematography. You could say Sinners, if Sinners.
Brilliant movie, by the
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah, great movie, underrated. Joel Edgerton, underrated. You could say cinematography for Sinners if Sinners starts sweeping, but my prediction is One Battle After Another. Best film editing. Now, an interesting Oscar stat is that the winner of editing usually also wins Best Picture. So this is a big one. So the nominees are F1, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, Sinners. My prediction: One Battle After Another. Again, the editing of that scene alone, where the cars are driving up and down those hills, all five are deserving. But I think it's going to match Best Picture. It'll be very interesting early in the night if Sinners wins editing because that's going to let us know that it might win picture. So be on the lookout for that. Best Production Design. Here's where we get to Doug's choice. The nominees are Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners. All five are incredible, right? Marty Supreme, I would give it to because Jack Fisk is this legendary production designer. He literally recreated 1950s New York City. But the category, from everything I'm seeing and hearing and precursors, my prediction is Frankenstein. I think it's winning Best Production Design. And same goes for Best Costume Design. Avatar, Fire and Ash, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Sinners. My prediction here too is Frankenstein. I think it starts winning in these below the line categories. I mean, I could also see Ruth E. Carter winning another Oscar for Sinners. She's won before. But the front runner here is Frankenstein. Best Makeup and Hairstyling. The nominees are Frankenstein, Kokuhu, Sinners, The Smashing Machine, The Ugly Stepsister. My prediction again, 3 in a row, Frankenstein. So I think Frankenstein walks away with those 3. So your movie will get
It further proves
will
my
get
point
Oscars.
about where its strong points are with costume and set design, and yeah.
Exactly, you nailed it. It's definitely the front runner. It will walk away with at least 3 Oscars, I think. And then Best Visual Effects, the nominees are Avatar, Fire and Ash, F1, Jurassic World Rebirth got nominated for something, The Lost Bus, and Sinners. I mean, the visual effects in Sinners are pretty amazing. There's 2 Michael B. Jordans. Sinners could pull this off, but my prediction, just because if we're placing bets, my prediction's Avatar because it feels like it wins Oscars for visual effects, right? It's so
Right.
massive in scale. But again, don't be surprised if it goes to Sinners. Best Sound, this is an interesting category. It's F1, Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Surat, which is a foreign film. My prediction is F1. I think this is where F1 wins an Oscar. It is nominated for Best Picture. Listen, I loved it. I saw it in the theater with my nephew. We both thought it was awesome. Brad Pitt was awesome in it. It does deserve an Oscar for Best Sound, and this feels like the perfect place to reward it with something. What do you think about that? What do you think about
Yeah,
it?
I think editing and sound were its strong points.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch in the theater too. Next category, Best Original Score: Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, Sinners. You know what got snubbed? The score for Marty Supreme. The composer is Daniel Lopatin, and he should have been nominated, I think. But the Sinners score is pretty undeniable. Ludwig Göransson. So my prediction to win for score is Sinners. What do you think out of those nominees? Actually, Frankenstein has
Yeah, I was
Alexander.
gonna say between Frankenstein and Sinners.
Yeah, but if you're betting money, go with Sinners for original score. Best original song, Dear Me from Diane Warren Relentless.
You think she's
Golden,
finally gonna win an Oscar?
not yet. It's not
No,
happening this
okay.
year because Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters is nominated. I Lied to You from Sinners, Sweet Dreams of Joy from Viva Verdi, and Train Dreams from Train Dreams. So Diane Warren has been nominated. This is her 17th nomination. I'm friendly with her. I root for her. She still hasn't won. She will one day, but it can't happen this year because of Golden. I mean, you have young daughters. You must hear that song around the house. I mean, it's in K-pop Demon Hunters. Everybody knows that song, whether they want to or not. It's everywhere. It was nominated for Song of the Year at the Grammys, which is pretty major for a song from an animated movie, for kids. So I just think Golden can't be beat. If anything were to beat it, again, Sinners sweeping. I Lied to You. It's such a musical movie, but I just can't see anything but Golden winning. It's won all the precursors. What do you think about original song?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you.
Yeah, it just seems pretty obvious. Diane Warren honestly should have won for, out of those 17, she should have won for I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, the Aerosmith song from Armageddon. That was very.
Hmm.
And her first nomination ever in 1987 was Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship.
Was it Mannequin?
Yes, Mannequin.
Yeah, there you
That was
go.
her first Oscar nomination. She should have won for that
She should have.
40 years ago.
Uh,
That brings us to Best Animated Feature: Arco, Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters, Little Emily, and Zootopia 2. Going along with Golden for Best Song, I've got to say K-pop Demon Hunters winning Best Animated Feature. The movie and the music are just a phenomenon. If anything can beat it, I would say
Zootopia 2.
Zootopia 2. So
Yeah.
just
I
like
mean, that was the big winner in the box office this year.
exactly, it was a huge box office hit, but the Oscars don't always follow that. And I would say because K-pop Demon Hunters was on Netflix, it's like the most watched movie ever on Netflix. It feels like that's similar to being like a hit movie in theaters. We'll see. The bet, my prediction is K-pop Demon Hunters for animated feature, but would not be surprised if it was Zootopia 2.
I think it's going to be Zootopia too. I'm going to disagree
Really?
with
Oh,
you on that one.
good. You
Yeah.
disagree with
Yeah.
me. I like that. Okay, good.
Yeah.
We'll see who gets it. And then Best Documentary Feature, the nominees are The Alabama Solution, Come See Me in the Good Light, Cutting Through Rocks, Mr. Nobody Against Putin, and The Perfect Neighbor. My prediction is The Perfect Neighbor. It's on Netflix. It was like the number one thing for a while. Everyone had access to it. I think it's been widely seen and critically acclaimed. I'd love to see Come See Me in the Good Light win. It's a really emotional, true story, obviously. But my prediction is The Perfect Neighbor. If you're betting, best international feature, The Secret Agent from Brazil. It was just an accident from France. Sentimental Value from Norway. Surat from Spain, and The Voice of Hind Rajab from Tunisia. Now, I don't know if people realize Sentimental Value is like a foreign film because it's in English, a lot of it, but it's nominated for Best Picture. So is Secret Agent. But Sentimental Value's edge is all four actors got nominated. I just think it's widely seen and beloved by a lot of the different branches that vote. So my prediction is Sentimental Value, but it could be The Secret Agent. So um, if you're voting in a pool, Sentimental Value.
So between those two,
Yeah,
I feel as if the better fit. You know what? I don't know. They were both. I like the style of Secret Agent better, but I mean,
right.
Sentimental Value was very artistic.
Well, that's the thing. I will not be surprised if Secret Agent wins this. I mean, it's got picture,
Yeah.
it's got actor, but Sentimental Value has picture, director, screenplay, and all four actors. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That one's really, it could be 50-50. We'll see. And then now we have the three shorts. The live action short, Butcher's Stain, Jane Austen's period drama, Friend of Dorothy, The Singers, and two people exchanging saliva. My prediction is The Singers. If you haven't seen this, Doug, you would love it. They found like people who sing like in the subway station or sing like you have to see it or just like on the street and like who haven't been discovered, like untapped talent with incredible voices and made a movie about them. And they're turning it into a feature, I think. You would really like it. So that's my vote personally, The Singers. And shout out to my friend Josh Hopkins, who's involved with that movie. But there's a chance it could be two people exchanging saliva. That one has been talked about a lot. There's a lot of conversation about it. But my prediction is The Singers. Best animated short. The nominees are Butterfly, Forever Green, The Girl Who Cried Pearls, Retirement Plan, and The Three Sisters. So my prediction is The Girl Who Cried Pearls. It seems to be pretty critically acclaimed, but it could be Butterfly. So that would be the backup. And then last but not least, the 24th category, Best Documentary Short, All the Empty Rooms, Armed Only with a Camera, The Life and Death of Brent Renaud, Children No More Were and Are Gone, The Devil is Busy, and Perfectly a Strangeness. So my prediction here is All the Empty Rooms. That seems to be a consensus around it, that's the favorite for documentary short. So if you're voting in a pool, All the Empty Rooms. And hopefully if people follow that crash course, they win their Oscar pool. But I kind of love that Oscar pools don't matter this year because some of those second places would be so awesome that like the pool goes out the window. We just want to see those people go on stage and win.
While we end this, I want to ask you
Yeah.
how successful have you been in the past when it comes to predicting?
Very, very. And
Very.
you want to,
Okay.
but you want to know what's interesting is the year of during I think it was right before the pandemic. Yeah, it was Oscars 2020, like a month before the pandemic. I had been studying that year so hard and I got 22 out of 24. But the two I didn't get were director and picture because
Wow.
it went to Parasite instead of 1917. So everything I was reading was like 1917, and then Parasite won SAG, and that cast won, and it something happened when it won SAG. It just got the momentum shifted in their direction. So I almost, if I had said Parasite for picture and director, I would have gotten 24 out of 24. So I always think about the 2020 Oscars, and then a month later, the world shut down. So all hell broke loose after that. But but yeah, I do pretty well. I really study it all year. I take it pretty seriously. I don't know why. Like no one's making me do it, but but I really enjoy it. And so it's fun to talk about it with you because you're also, as part of your job, you have to watch these things and learn these things and interview the actors about it, and I'm sure an actor knows when someone's interviewing them who's really seen the movie and who hasn't. And so it's probably really cool for them when they talk to you and you're like a fan of their work. Probably makes them feel good.
Yeah, me too. Like
Yeah.
I enjoy speaking with them when I'm a fan of their work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have two more quick things that we do.
Go ahead.
So before we go, I always like to ask my guests, what advice do you have for someone who dreams of having a career like yours?
The advice that I have and that I tell everybody is if you have a city in your mind in which you want to be your final destination, make sure you're ready for that city. Put in your work, but everybody's going to make errors. But if you're going to make the errors, make them in Podunk, make them in Butte, Montana, make them in Binghamton, New York, like I did, make them in Fort Myers, Florida, because you only get one shot and the reputation you have in that city carries. So if you want to be in LA and you think that's your final destination, make sure you're ready for LA.
That's great advice. Wow, that's really cool. And that's very specific to news because
Mm.
in film they tell us go to New York or LA. We don't get other cities to test it out in.
I also think it's timeless advice. I mean, it's the same advice that worked for me, that worked 20 years prior to me, that's working 20 years after.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so the very last thing we do here at On the List is called the mystery question. As a journalist, you might appreciate this. The guest from my last podcast leaves a question for my next guest. Done this ever since episode one. The guest of my last podcast was my friend Grant Harvey, who starred in The Accountant 2 with Ben Affleck. He sent me a mystery question. I will now read it to you. Okay, this is Grant's quote, and then you can just answer it, and then it's a wrap. So Grant wrote, okay, so you know when once in a great while really flattering, cool shit happens to you when no one is around to witness it. The type of shit that's so flattering to you as a person, you wouldn't dare tell people about it after the fact because it would be totally douchey and virtue signaling and immodest. Can you tell me one of those instances now, for the first time, it won't be douchey, virtue signaling, or immodest because I'm asking you to tell me right now? That's my longest mystery question I've ever gotten.
Okay. So you need me to you need me to answer that?
Well, something flattering. It doesn't have to be that no one's ever heard, but something flattering that's happened to you in a career, like someone you look up to complimented you, or you befriended someone you admired. I don't know. Something flattering that you don't name drop or brag about a lot, but he's giving you permission.
So if you're going to ask me that, the coolest story that I think I have with any celebrity, and I have a lot of cool interactions with celebrities like you, but one of them was, and I'll make this brief, was with Eddie Vedder, who's the lead singer of Pearl Jam. I'm a big music guy,
Yes.
and this is a story he basically told me not to tell on air. So I'll tell you, and this happened a while ago. But pretty much, he does this Ohana festival down in Dana Point every year. And KTLA has always been a supporter of the festival. And this is one of those festivals that's like a real grassroots effort. It's like the people at Live Nation, it's like people who typically wear suits will be putting poles in the ground because it's all for charity. So it's Eddie's festival, and not the first year, but one of the years he had it, as each year went by, I got more and more friendly with him, and they started recognizing KTLA as the local television station that was going to be their partner, and I was the reporter for it. So one year they're like, okay, they're reaching out to me and they're like, can you do anything with this story to, promote it, whatever. And I was like, well, I'm like, can Eddie interview with me? Eddie doesn't want to do local television interviews. So, and to the point where like his manager said, look, Doug, he's like, I gave him a sheet one time with 3 questions. They said, if you answer these 3 questions, you'll get the front cover of Rolling Stone. And he crumbled it up in a ball and threw it in the trash.
Wow.
So he doesn't want to do interviews. But he ended up writing me a letter, and he wrote a bunch of questions to himself and answered it. And it was a typewritten letter. And I was able to do a story on what he wrote me. And one of the things he wrote was, where do you see the future of Ohana? And in one of the questions he answered, he said, I'd love to one day hear Bruce Springsteen's voice emanating over the ocean. So anyway, I go to Ohana, and I see Eddie. And basically, his manager's like, "Oh, come back here." So I go back in the trailer room in his little compound, and I'm sitting there with Eddie. And Eddie here sits.
Have it?
He takes a book and a pen, and he sits down, and we're two chairs, and we just have this conversation. And he's the whole time he's drawing while he's talking to me. And I said, "So, do you really think you could get Springsteen to do Ohana?" And he's like, "Well, Bruce and I are real close, you know." And he brings out he starts telling me the story about Bruce, and he's like, "Wait a second." He whips out his cell phone, and he brings the Bruce Springsteen conversation, and he hands me the phone. So now I'm reading Eddie Vedder's text message conversation with Bruce Springsteen
Yeah.
about he's like, I always felt like it was kismet. He and I were always had this cosmic connection where he's like, right now I'm heavily into into surf rock, and not just Beach Boys, but like 50s surf rock. And he's like, and I had a dream about Bruce and 50, and I'm sitting in Bruce's living room, and I'm playing 50s surf rock. And he's like, I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, do I text him? Do I tell him? Nobody wants to hear about dreams, but whatever. I text him, and he shows me his phone, and it says, I had this dream about 50 surf rock, and Bruce responded, "Oh my God, Ed, I've been listening to nothing but 50 surf rock lately." So
No way.
and while I'm doing this, I'm like, wow, I'm actually reading Eddie Vedder's cell phone text message conversation between him and Bruce Springsteen. This is nuts. Anyway, we left that conversation. What he was drawing the whole time was this he took a book, and he just wrote, to Doug, with deep appreciation, thanks for being part of the crew, your fan, or your friend Ed. And it was, he drew me a little wave. So
Amazing.
anyway, so the following year, now we're covering Ohana again. And this time, it's almost like they want to like top the experience I had with Eddie without
Right.
doing an interview. So they're like, okay, well, bring a few friends to Ohana. So this is the night before. It was Thursday. So Ohana starts Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This was a Thursday night. Bring a few friends. So I bring two of my like massive like Pearl Jam fans I travel the world with and see Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
And we bring them there, and Eddie has performs a 17 song rehearsal set with just the three of us
No way.
sitting there, standing there. So his manager brings out a bucket of Coronas. The only three people in the audience are me, my two buddies, and we sit there and we watch 17 songs from Eddie, with being the only people in the audience. So on the last song, this song called Hard Sun, which you usually close with, uh, Eddie brings me up on stage.
No.
So now he's singing Hard Sun, and I'm like playing air guitar to him. And he's coming up, and it was almost like I'm sharing like vocals with Eddie singing Hard Sun, like, just for me and my buddies. So, like
Incredible.
Eddie, he was going out of the way to just make it a special experience for me without interviewing for me for my segment.
That's incredible. That's almost better than getting the interview segment.
Yeah, I know. That's what I tell everybody. They're like, "Have you ever interviewed Eddie?" I'm like, "No, but I have better stories than interviews."
Yeah, you're friends. Wait, that's wild. And were your other friends filming or they weren't allowed?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
they
yeah.
have. Okay.
And again, Eddie said, "Please don't show that video," but I
Okay.
have like
Okay.
here, like I like
As long as the footage exists for you, that's all that matters.
here. I'll show you real quick because I have it in my
Um,
hearts.
yeah, your favorites. Wait, that's such a great story. I'm so glad that Grant gave me that question. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come up. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that is a funny one, right? Well, and you had to explain it a little better for me to like understand where.
Well, he was just sort of saying, giving you the license to brag about something that maybe you normally wouldn't.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not a story. Yeah, but here. So this is me on stage with Ed.
What's it?
There was another guy up there. Here, let me see if you can see this.
Yeah, 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 definitely. No way. How awesome. The air guitar.
The air guitar. Yeah. The other
That is
guy that's
so
next to me is
great.
some guy he met surfing that day.
What a cool dude. It really makes me
Yeah.
like him even more that he would do that for you. How awesome. I
Yeah.
love that story. Great
So,
story. And we come kind of full circle because Springsteen is a Jersey guy.
yeah, 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 exactly.
And you were reading their text messages.
So, and then you want me to ask a question for the next person?
Yes, you can email that to me though. That's
Okay, okay. All
you
right,
can
you got
take
it.
time. So the mystery is you don't know who the guest is. You'll just ask me a question, and whoever my next guest may be, I don't know yet. They'll answer your question. That's how we close every show. Usually, I print it and seal it and put it in an envelope, and it's a mystery to me too. But he
Okay.
texted it to me, so I saw it, so I put it in. But uh, but yes, you will send me a mystery question that will be revealed on the next episode, and it strings together from episodes 1 to now 76. They're all strung together by the mystery question at the end. And actually, Lance Bass liked it when he was my guest very early on. And so on his radio show, he started the Gursky question, which at the end of every episode, someone leaves a question for the next. So it's moved on, the Gursky question, he calls it. But
Very cool.
yeah, it's cool. So that is a wrap on episode 76. Thank you, Doug, for doing this with me. You were the perfect person for me to just talk to about Oscars for a while. I got it all out of my system. I'm ready for Sunday. And I hope you use some of that on the Oscar red carpet.
I certainly will. Thank you.
I will be honored. I'll be watching you on Oscar Sunday. Share as many stats as you want. And I look forward to hanging out in person soon. And thank you for doing this. And I enjoyed it very much. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.